this is Faith at Faith and Books. I thought I'd talk about my Latin study that I've been doing and also beginning the book Romola because there's a little bit of an overlap. Um, so I've been hitting the books hard. I think I've studied every day last week except one, and I haven't studied today, but maybe I'll get some in this evening. And I've kind of come up with a system. I'm going through this particular textbook. In the back, they have this reference grammar. It's got water spilled on it. I bought it used like that. But it's really good, has really good explanations. And then, so what I'm doing is if I already know it, then, it's a good review. If I'm sort of vague on the grammatical principle, then I'll go, it gives you a page number. And this is the second volume, so I have the first volume as well. So I'll go and review. And then sometimes I'll run into something that I simply don't know because I have so many holes in my Latin education that I just missed a lot. And each book presents things slightly differently. Anyway, so then I'll go and I'll actually, try to learn the thing. And I'm also using the syllabus at the National Latin Exam site, which is nle.org. They have the syllabus for the test you're going to take, so it lists all the topics that you need to cover. So I'm comparing that with this. And then I'm also taking old exams. So I started out, I took the 2019 level 3 exam. I think I got 7 wrong. So then I went to 2018. And what I'm doing is I'm starting with the intro level. I take that one, then I take level 1, then I take level 2, and then the one I want to take in March is level 3. So I feel like the intro, all the other levels kind of warm me up and get me really thinking in Latin. And it's a good test strategy just to know how they phrase questions or how they tend to present things. And that also helps me narrow down what I need to study. So it's been going pretty well. I'm a little daunted, but I do have some time. And I was only going to try to commit 30 minutes a day. But, some days it's less than 30 minutes or not at all. But most days I've managed to get a couple of hours. But it is impacting my reading rate. So, and I have 2 kind of heavy books that I'm reading right now. So they're not fast reads to begin with. So, that's the way it is. But the book I'm reading, well, the fiction book I'm reading, the novel, is Romola by George Eliot or Marianne Evans. And it's set in Florence, in the city of Florence during the Renaissance. So it's actually takes place in 1492. The day that Lorenzo de' Medici dies. That's when the action starts. And it's all, a big element of it is this one character, Romula's father, who's Bardo, I think is his name, and he is a classical scholar. So he's one of these guys in the Renaissance that has just steeped himself in learning ancient Greek and ancient Roman philosophy, histories, literature, that sort of thing. And he's rejected Christianity, and and his family was once this prestigious, wealthy family of Florence, but they've sort of fallen, or at least his branch of it has sort of fallen in its status. So his whole sense of worth, of self-worth, is tied up with his scholarship. He's not an entirely likable character. He's very self-absorbed, and he treats his daughter Romula, who's this beautiful young 18-year-old, I think she is, who has had some classical learning because she's basically been sitting at her father's knee helping him. He's gone blind too in his old age. So she helps him. And her older brother, that the father was bringing up to be a classical scholar, rejected it and went off and joined the Dominican friars. So that was a terrible thing to do. And so the father has disowned him. And I don't want to give any spoilers or anything, but what happens is this beautiful handsome young Greek man shows up in Florence and he's been shipwrecked. And nobody ever asked him about the shipwreck or how many people survived or where it happened or anything. It's kind of weird. The Florentines, or whatever you call them, are very friendly. And because he's very handsome and there's something very charming about him that people seem to naturally take to. He seems to have a very open demeanor. And he winds up working for Bardo and falls in love with Romola. So, but the scene before that happens, before Tito meets the family, the father is talking to his daughter, and he quotes a line from Horace, and it was George Eliot writes in a very high style. It's formal and it's very learned. It's kind of reminding me of the novel Callista that I read by St. John Henry Newman back in October. So there's lots and lots of references to antiquity, and so there's a generous amount of Latin sprinkled throughout, and Italian as well. And so I typed this up because I don't know how to put it on the screen, but I typed up this quote from Horace because usually when you have a quote like that from a famous poet, I mean, it's beyond me to be able to interpret it. But this one wasn't. So I managed to puzzle it out, and I'm pretty pleased. And then I checked myself. I did some research, and I found out, if I was on the right track or not. Anyway, so I'm just going to explain this to you as clearly and as quickly as I can. So this is the quote from the poet Horace. Can you see that? It says, "Sunt qui non habeant est qui non curat habere." Right? Sunt qui non habeant est qui non curat habere. So we'll just take it each word in its turn. So this is sunt. So sunt is the third person plural for the verb to be in the present indicative active. So the NT is the clue that signals its third person plural. So it would mean they are, right? They don't, in Latin, they don't use pronouns as often as we do personal pronouns because it's built into the ending of the word. They use it for emphasis or for clarity. But so this is sunt. So that could be they are. Excuse me. Qui could be a couple different things, but here it is a relative pronoun, and usually this doesn't happen, but it's actually in this particular case the plural. And down here, this is singular, are the same word. Usually they're different. And you can tell that they're singular or plural by the ending. But here, they happen to be alike. I don't know why that is. And then non means not. It's how you negate something. And then habeant. Habeant and this word down here, habere, are the same verb. And it's the word to mean to have or to hold or to possess. So we obviously get our word have from it. But in this case, because that little a is in there, that indicates that it is in the subjunctive. There's three, what do you call them, moods. There's three moods that verbs can be in. They can be imperative, where they're giving orders. They can be in the indicative, which means they're just making statements. Or they can be in the subjunctive, which is kind of a catch-all, and it's when things are conditional, or it's a possibility, or it's a wish, or something like that, where it isn't. You're not making a statement, right? So they do this thing where they switch out the vowels to indicate it, and so here habeant, that shows that it's subjunctive. Then you have this comma, and then it goes est. So this is third person singular. So it's switched from the plural to the singular. So this could mean he is, he, she, or it is. So, and then qui again, and then non, and then corat, habere. So non again is negating, it's like not. And then corat, we get the word cure or care from this word. So it means to care. And it's also, see how this ends in a T and this ends in a T, so that indicates that it's third person singular, as this NT and NT indicates it's third person plural. So that's the difference. One, the plural ends in an NT and the singular ends in just a T. So, and this is the present infinitive, so and translated into English, it would mean to have. So let me just try to translate it very literally, and then I'll kind of play around with it a little bit to make it make a little more sense in English. So it could be they are who not have. He is who cares not to have. All right. Now, when we translate it, we would put in, well, first of all, the sunt can also be translated into English. If they are doesn't make sense, it could be there are. I think those are called expletives, which are not swear words, but it's something indicating something. So I guess being explicit about something. So you can say there are, and then in English, we wouldn't just say who. There are who. We would want to put something else. And so there are those who may have not, because this is subjunctive. So he's not making a statement. No, there are those who may have not, may not have things, and may not possess. And then the parallel, it goes into the singular, and it changes from the subjunctive. This is actually in the indicative. So this is subjunctive, this is the indicative. So there is he who cares not to have. So there's two parallel statements here that are pretty simple. The sunt and the est are parallel, qui, non, non. Then we have the plural subjunctive, in contrast to the singular indicative, and then the infinitive, the present infinitive, to have. So it's translated, there are those who may not have or don't, we would translate it, who don't possess anything. We would have to put in something for it to make sense. There are those who may not have, may not possess much. There is he who cares not to have. So because it goes into the singular and into the indicative, the speaker seems to be speaking of himself. So there are people out there who really want to have stuff, but this person, I don't really care. That's what it basically says. So I thought that was fun that I could actually figure that one out. And so, I think this might be the first Horace I've ever been able to translate. So that was pretty thrilling for me. Anyway, I hope you didn't find that too boring. I'm really enjoying Romola. And I'm going to continue reading, and I'm going to come back and I think my next video is going to be on the rise and fall of the Third Reich, because, man, there's a lot to talk about there. So have a wonderful Sunday, and I will talk to you later. Bye.